Hello everyone, my name is Danny. This review is for the movie called, I'm going to go with Misbehaviour, because it's spelled differently. It's not spelled Misbehaviour. So we're going to go with Misbehaviour. This is a 2020 film that nobody says exists, but this is one. This came out in March of 2020. It does not have a rating, at least on here. It runs an hour and 45 minutes, and it stars Keira Knightley, know who she is, Gugu Mbatha-Raw, and Jessie Buckley. And it also stars some other people that you might know. The description is nice and short. A group of women hatch a plan to disrupt the 1970 Miss World beauty competition in London. This is Misbehaviour. I'm just going to go with Misbehaviour because that's how the word's said, so I don't want to confuse anybody. So, thank you everybody for watching this video. If you'd like any bonus content or other correspondence, I have my Facebook page up and running, Danny's Movies and Music, and I would love for you to hit me up on there. There's lots of different things going on over there. And I just watched Eurovision from Netflix, but I don't put my Netflix reviews on here, so on YouTube. So, with the new movie that just came out that I watched, very brand new, I like to say that this only has a little less than 2,000 grades on the website that I go to. So, people need to watch this. It has Keira Knightley. It has other names in it. It's about Bob Hope. It's about a beauty pageant. It's about history. There's lots of encompassing stuff in here, and we actually have some actors that we know. The movie actually has some quality to it. Wow, I know. It's amazing, right? And so I know Hollywood is shut down, but this feels like a Hollywood movie with two big names, and quality of the movie is on par. That's where I'm going to start. When I started this movie, and I watched two movies yesterday, this one was so much better in quality that I was just blown away from the beginning. I just knew it was going to be a better film. There were some problems to this movie, but the quality of the movie just, we have that every once in a while, We see something stupid and, with the camera shaking the whole time and weird editing, and then you watch a movie like a superhero movie, and you just know that, they're leaps and bounds better than this other Joe Schmo. And so that's where I was with this movie when I started it. I was like, wow, that's amazing, just quality of the movie. And then we get into it, and there's a huge number of people involved with this movie. There was, I'm sure, because we're having to deal with a beauty pageant, we're having to deal with women's rights movement, we're having to deal with crowds of people. We're having to deal with a production company. We're having to deal with all this stuff. And there's just so many people involved with this movie that it's truly astonishing. So, yeah, let's just keep giving it props here. The guy that plays Bob Hope, we know who he is. And he gets to kind of give us I hate to say darker side, because that's really all the reason why people make movies, is to let you know they had a drinking problem or a drug problem, or they slept around or whatever. And so that's really all we get from the character, the person who was Bob Hope in this movie, was that obviously he was kind of a player, and especially around the 1960s or so. So him and his wife, that correspondence in this movie is kind of a downer, but it is very valid, I guess, and maybe they wanted people to know that's part of what happened with him at this time, and they thought it was relevant to put in the movie, so whatever. But I've never heard of that, and I don't think of the name Bob Hope, as that, so whatever. I was just a kind of a small part of the movie anyways. I really thought he was going to end up hosting the whole pageant at the end, and he was only like a special guest person. So whatever. Um, the other things that I'm going to start transitioning here. The other things that started to get on my nerves, and I would say are real negatives to this movie, is this really gets heavy and is like truly about women's liberation movement, like what kind of jump started it in the Europe and maybe what started it in the world, was with this 1970 pageant. The women in that area boycotting it, trying to demonstrate against it, and that's really what the story's about. It's not really about anything else, and I'm gonna say this without trying to get in trouble, okay? But I think partly because I'm a guy, partly because of the way they handled it in the movie, and partly because of how they argued with themselves in the movie, I just kind of felt like I didn't really care like two little bits about this movie because it ended up not even caring about itself. And we have so much going on in the world right now that maybe this wasn't the right time to make this movie. We're so past women's rights. Like I'm just surprised that we're still making a movie about it. I guess is my overall sense, but it's not like my main point. I just didn't find myself caring about this movie and its objective. It's like you're trying to stop one pageant, and everybody in the movie is saying that stopping that pageant won't do anything. You're wondering what the point of having the pageant is for the woman that wins, and when the woman that wins has her story at the end of the movie, even the head women's lib person, Keira Knightley, doesn't have a good argument about why that's important, because it is. And that's more valid nowadays, is the woman who won the pageant in this movie. And so I just feel like this movie kind of shot itself in the foot and kind of messed itself up by arguing itself with good valid points and then people not saying anything. Like that happens like 4 or 5 times throughout the movie. Is Keira Knightley says something about how she wants her daughter to grow up better in the world, and then her mother says, "Well, what if I would have done that with you? Then you would have been left at home all the time." And then Keira Knightley doesn't say anything, and that's the end of the scene. It's like, people, you're arguing with yourselves that your movie and your idea for your movie is stupid. You're putting in the other arguments, and those are more valid than your argument. So that's really what got on my nerves throughout the movie, and that's really what overall kind of brought this movie down in grade for me. I like the quality, I like the actors, I like how many people were involved, I like the overall, pretty much how the movie was done, and their true story about what this ended up causing and having the movement for women move forward. All that's great. I really, do want to give props to this. I think people should go out and watch this movie and get more out of it than I will, but I think that I just ended up not caring about the movie when it started to shoot itself in its own foot. Overall, it's entertaining. It's a little slow, but it has some good characters in it. There's a lot of surprising stuff. So I'm going to give Misbehavior a B minus, and I do hope that you're able to watch it. I do hope that you're able to seek it out. I do hope that you get more out of it than I do, because I just don't know. I think the fact that it's a true story maybe helped a little bit, but it had some people that we knew, some names and stuff. I'm sure this whole Miss World thing turned into the Miss Universe pageant, but I just, like I said, I just don't know. But it's interesting enough. So, a B minus for Misbehavior. Thank you guys. My name's Danny. If you like this or any of my other videos, try and get some of them to watch. Like and subscribe to my channel if you would. Enjoy movies. Thanks.